Not having the best week so far this week, between one thing and another. Been having problems with this guy. Until last week, till the weekend, he was all perfectly fine. No problems with him. I checked him out, in fact, very specifically, did a bunch of tests on him, and then I was flying him FPV, and he was basically, everything seemed to be working fine. Then I was buddy boxing on the weekend, and entirely my own fault, I let my friend fly the plane too low, and he went into the ground with it, and there was a little breakage and had to do some repairs. Then I tried to fly it for a checkout flight, but foolishly probably I flew it FPV. Lens cap off. Should have done the checkout flight line of sight. And that didn't go very well either. I also forgot to close the battery door, which didn't help. But at one point, it seemed like the plane just went randomly into a spin towards the ground. Anyway. It was a bit out of trim. I've done my best now to trim it. I'm not going to fly it FPV now, I'm just putting this on to record. But I am going to put this on to record, but I'm not going to fly it FPV. This is just to record a plain point of view. I've tried to trim it, I just want to check it. Do a reasonably thorough test flight for it now. And see how it flies. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the DVR's working. I don't remember. Let's have a look. I'm not sure whether we've got the transmitter set to this guy or to something else. I know I just charged the transmitter. No. There we go.
Beginner mode. Throttle cut off. Mid-rate. Throttle cut on.
Okay. That should do. Chilly. Mr. Watts has pretty much cleared already. Ooh, now the sun's coming out bright, and got to watch that, else it'll blind me because it's pretty bright. I believe I've got the GPS features turned off now because I was checking his trim indoors. So, because I was checking his trim indoors, he wasn't going to get a GPS lock indoors, so I turned the GPS features off, so he's in what they call indoor mode with no GPS features, which is okay. Whoops. It's hard work, really. Okay, and that little tail waggle means... There he goes. But for some reason, it's like he still wants to get his GPS lock, even though we're not using GPS. But that little tail waggle tells you that he's in indoor mode. That little tail waggle he did when he was initializing then, that specifically means I'm in indoor mode and none of the GPS stuff is going to be active. Oh. Put it in experience mode so the control surfaces don't jerk all over the place, because when I'm trying to turn it upside down now. God, it's hard work. You need 5 hands to do these things. I'm trying to turn it upside down to do as neat a job as possible. If possible, I'd put in the sodding battery in, because we don't need additional problems from poor battery placement or whatever. Okay. So, blithering, get in. So we got the battery in. We'll close the other little latch to make doubly sure the battery is locked in. And we should be ready to go. And we've got no GPS on, but that's absolutely fine. I always flew him with no GPS on until... I only ever enabled GPS when I started thinking about doing FPV with him. Now, I regarded this plane as a very solid, I think we will put him in beginner for takeoff. for now. And then we'll take him up and then we'll play around with him out to it. I regarded him as a very solid, reliable plane, basically, other than with the issue of the battery hatch flying open. But now I'm sort of nervous about him. Does he look trimmed right? Yeah, it's hard to say 100%. Rudder especially, because it's got a steerable wheel on there and it tends to get stuck in the grass. No, you can't complain about that, but then again, this is, beginner mode. You can't really, I gotta take it out.
Intermediate mode. Experienced mode.
Well, because you can't really tell anything in beginner mode, it's just going to level itself in beginner mode, so even if it was out of trim, you wouldn't tell. Trying to see whether it's in trim or not. Pretty much, I think. If anything, it may be tending to go up a little bit. Don't want to stall it yet. A hair of down trim might be useful, because if anything, it seems to be going up somewhat, but...
Time remaining, 9 minutes.
Yeah, now it seems to be falling off to the right. I don't know whether that's aileron trim or what. I'm trying to... Yeah, well, that's hands off, so it's not... It's certainly not far out of trim. A little more power. Yeah, I mean, it might not be minutely trimmed precisely. If anything, as I say, it does seem to have a tendency to climb if you leave it alone. Slightly, but not violently. I mean, it's not like try it again, hands off. Just level it off. I'm just trying to level it off and then let it go hands off. And it seems to have a slight tendency to fall off to the right to me as well.
8 minutes.
I don't know. It's hard to see when you get it that far away. There's a real plane behind it. I was wondering what that was. Oh, well, it was a bird as well, but there's also a plane. Not Superman, though. It seems to me, yes, it has a bit of a it's by no means violently out of trim, but it has a slight tendency to roll to the right. It's quite controllable, though, and a slight tendency to go up a bit. It hasn't done anything really weird. Yeah, no, why would it? But I mean, it seemed to. A couple of times it seemed to do weird things. And when a plane does weird things a couple of times, well, I say a couple of times.
Time remaining.
I don't know that it really did anything weird when we were buddy boxing. It's hard to say because I wasn't flying it mostly. It may, and he's not used to flying plane, fixed wing, so. It certainly seemed to do something weird at one point while I was flying at FPV yesterday. It seemed like I was just flying it around pretty normally. And it just seemed to go into a violent spin towards the ground for no good reason. I can't imagine why. There was no wind, I didn't do anything to the controls, and all of a sudden... And I mean, the thing is, even if I stall it, it won't go. I can try and stall it now, but it shouldn't go into a violent spin towards the ground if I stall it. That was never its behavior. Let's see if I can stall it. Oh, we'll come back here. No, I don't want to stall it over there. I was trying to stall it, but I want to stall it when I've got a good view of it. Okay.
Time remaining, 6.
I'm trying to stall it now. Not easy to do. It just drops, basically. I mean, it really doesn't want to stall particularly. It's kind of hard to stall it. So, I mean, it certainly doesn't go into a violent spin. I was trying to stall it then. No, see, no, that was a stall. That was definitely a stall. And it just goes down, which is always what it did. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the rudder was a bit out of trim yesterday. Maybe maybe the rudder being out of trim on the stall made it go into a spin. I don't know. Certainly doesn't seem, well, that's good. It doesn't seem inclined to go into a spin on a stall now, which it shouldn't. It never did. I'm not really trying to stall it now, I'm just flying it slowly, but I'm not specifically trying to stall it. Okay, well, I don't know. Seems to me to be flying the way it did. I mean, there's nothing remarkable. Oh, here's the train again. Oh, God. And if you get one of those, you're going to get a whole bunch. That was one loud blast on the hooter. Somebody told me there's a code, but I've never been able to figure it out. That seemed to be what I would call that 2 loud blasts. It's rocking a bit now. That is a little bit of wind, I guess. What's that, 2 loud and 3 short or something? I don't know. If anything, you know, it might have, as I say, it may have a teeny bit of a tendency. Yeah, I think it may be out of trim a little tiny bit to the right and a little bit up, but not much. No, I'm coming into land now. What the heck was that? What's that sort of weird wing 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 noise? Who knows? Well, I don't know if this is telling me much. It seemed to fly. There's the train. Oh, there's yes. Ooh, noisy. Oh, now, this is not, unusually, this is not tankers. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of frame boxcars. Oh, Lord, he's got three engines there, and then a bunch of these frame boxcar things. Hopefully he'll maybe stop blowing his hooter now. He's gone over the road there. Oh, there are a bunch of tankers behind them. Because that's mostly what you get is tankers. Someone was telling me this spur line goes to some sort of oil depot or something. Anyway, one thing at a time. I don't know. It's all rather complicated. I don't see any great sign that this guy's doing anything weird now. He was, but let's have a look here. We've recorded 11 minutes of video there. Got 8 volts left in the battery. This thing will turn it off. So that's the DVR off. Numerous things here. Okay, well, we'll tidy up the batteries here, but I'll turn off here. And as far as a check flight goes, that seems an okay check flight. Everything seems to check out. He seems to be flying fine. Of course, that gets me nearer to understanding what he did when he went weird yesterday, but he was out of trim and whatever. He could do with a teeny bit of down trim, maybe, and a teeny bit of left trim, perhaps. I just turned this guy's GPS features back on, which you do by turning him, by holding the stick down, the left stick down to the bottom left as he initializes. I just did that. He's not turned on now because with the GPS features initialized, I need to connect him in the middle of the runway, which is easier said than done. Okay. That was only the sort of stage 1 waking up and locking to the transmitter. We still don't have a GPS lock, which we have to wait for. And then we've got to put the battery in. I don't have the FPV camera turned on at all. That was the GPS lock. That second click and whittle was the GPS lock. So now he's got GPS lock. And I just want to have a... He seemed to fly. I'm testing him out now after problems with one thing and another. And I just want to... had to repair his tail, and I had to redo the repair that I'd done before to his nose, because that's, you know, that's... this is one of these fly batteries. You know, and the nice thing about them is they have a standard charge plug, so you can start charging with standard telephone, but they really do have an awful lot of blithering wires to try and tuck in. Trying to get all the wires tucked in is hard work, because they've got a JST connector as well. Okay. So flying him just generally round in experienced mode and whatever, he seemed to be flying fine to me. We'll put him back in beginner. Now, I just want to try the GPS features quickly. Yep. The strap is doing that thing of getting stuck. Got to get him to stagger off there. Okay, everything should be on. So electric fence should be on. Famous last words, so he should turn around if I just fly him out there. It's a bit hard on the nerves, because I don't want him to go too far out there, but yes, that was electric fence. There you go, and he came back. That was electric fence. He really does have a bit of a tendency to wander up, but I don't know why, because it's not... It just seems like an inherent tendency of the plane, maybe. Even Fred was complaining about that when he was flying in Buddy Box, that it tends to keep going up, and it does a little bit. It just seems to have a natural tendency to climb, if anything. But it's not out of trim. I checked. The elevators are dead level. You can put a ruler straight across them, and you can put a ruler straight across them, and they're absolutely dead level. I want to check. I was getting to be a little bit of wind now. I'm giving him throttle and he's not going because there's some wind up there. I'm not giving him massive throttle, but he's definitely going slower than he should. Okay, I'm going to test the loiter mode now. I want to get him a little bit further away, but not so far he goes to electric fence. Okay, let's try it. It's a bit alarming because he does turn and dive when he goes into loiter mode, but he should only do that if he's above 65 feet, because he's supposed to come down to 65 feet. Of course, if he was confused about his altitude, that would cause you real problems. That almost looked like, you know, it almost looked like that's what he did before, but he was no way, but he was below 65, but it almost looked as if he suddenly decided to do that kind of dive thing that he did there. He's just circling now, at least he should be. I'm not controlling him. He's just in loiter mode and circling, and I guess that's okay. Okay, take him out of it. And it really throttles up when you do that as well. It throttles up if you're above 65. No, if you're below 60, let me just test. If I'm below 65 feet, does he go up? Yeah, he does. Because if he started diving when he was below 65 feet, that would be a real problem. But that's okay. Okay, take him out of that. I just wanted to make sure that when he's below 65 feet and you press the loiter button, he climbs. If you're above 65 feet, he turns and dives. If you're below, he climbs, which is what he should do. He's supposed to go to 65 feet and circle. Have no criticism of how anything is working now. Everything seems to be working fine. I guess we'll try the auto land.
Return to launch.
And that's it. Throttle down. Makes me a bit nervous, but I just want to test it. Throttle down and then hold the channel 6 button. Ooh, it does make me nervous. Is he going to... What the hell? That was a bit weird, wasn't it? That was not me, that was him.
Throttle cut on.
That was quite weird. It's almost like, well, it's intelligence. Maybe the wind pushed him off and he realised it, because that was not me. I did not do that. That was all auto land. He came round, looked as if he was about to land in the long grass, and I was just about ready to press the button to get him out, try and get him out of it and pull him up. And then he did it himself. He pulled himself up, came over, and then landed on the runway. So, I don't know. I don't know how the GPS is programmed, but my best guess would be that there's a little bit of wind, not much, but a little bit. He sensed that he was coming in to land too far from his landing point and went up again and moved over a bit. Looks almost human-like behaviour, doesn't it? Well, he successfully landed on the runway anyway. And that was on auto land. So, I mean, I have to say, that appears to be, I should put the lens cap back on the FPV camera. That appears to be it was all in beginner mode, because I was just basically testing how he flies himself, basically, pretty much. That was all. That seemed to be a successful checkout of the GPS features again, which I checked out before, but, you know, I was a bit dubious about how everything was working after this crash. But I cannot see any evidence that anything is not working properly. So I guess the next step is to put him back into FPV service, but I'm not going to do that now. But since I can't see any problems with him, everything seems to check out basically okay, I'll probably do an FPV fight with him again next.